Hey, welcome back, everybody. Tuesday, Elyse TV. It is time to put everything down and get ready for your weekly dose of verbal artillery.
Woo! Load it up.
Wine business, beverage business, you name it. This is your host, Garrett Lyon. I'm Christopher Lund. We're going to play point counterpoint today. So Garrett is the good cop, and I'm the disgruntled guy all day long, man. So everything I taste, I'm going to be like this. You know, what else you got, man?
Just playing our normal roles. Really special show today because we're introducing, for those that haven't been here, those that have probably have seen maybe one or two of these things, but some really cool brands that really talented people here have their hands in. So pretty exciting stuff.
Look at this whole array in front of you. So this is kind of our weekly kind of gauntlet these days. Is you come to see us at Elyse, and there are multiple projects going on here, and so trying not to inundate a lot of our enthusiasts out there with, you know, here is 17 emails with all the releases and all this other stuff. 2100 Hoffman Lane becomes one of your really great sites to start with because you can get a lot of diversity from just going to 2100 Hoffman Lane. It's still in its infancy. Cheryl Foyle, God bless that woman, man. She has made it awesome already to negotiate, navigate, and I was going to say procreate, but I left that one short. But it really just, in the day of accessibility, as much as dinosaurs like me are still really learning how to purchase with a lot of faith online, guys like you do it without thinking twice, man. Like that's the world of accessibility. And so 2100 Hoffman Lane for us is going to be one of those kind of easy, accessible, amazing collection of wine kind of operations. We're not going to do a club initially. Come May this year, we'll start talking about frequent flyers. And that might be the only way to refer to some of our enthusiasts with 2100 Hoffman Lane going, we're not going to do any auto shipments. But let's say 4 times a year, you're going to get a ping that goes, hey, we got Chardonnay and Pinot, or hey, summer's coming, we got these. So it's more of a prompt to make sure that you get first right of refusal before some of these wines get snatched up. Because once again, we're into the 100 case, 200 case production on some of these wines. So start playing with 2100 Hoffman Lane. One of the fun things is the whole theme is the emblems from all the wineries. So you get the bell curve from Standard Deviation, you get the rose from Elyse, you get the horns from Addicts, you get the tree and the handprint from Morgado, you get the scissors from Institution. So you start to really kind of play with that whole emblem collection of the wines and the diversity of what we're going on here. And there's no better operation to walk into for mood and wine pairing. So I'm the perfect guy, disgruntled today. I'm angry, and then I'm going to drink like cider. And I'm going to be like, okay, I'm less angry. Like, who gets mad drinking cider, man, you know?
I got to say, you're a great teacher and a mentor for me because I always start off really happy-go-lucky for about a year and a half, but you've trained me to be grumpy and disgruntled and short. No patience.
Do you trust people that are happy all the time, man? Like, yeah, that's weird.
What Cheryl has done and Josh and the whole team uniting all these things, it's great for me because people will ask me out and about wherever I am, oh, where do you work? Easiest answer is Elyse. And Elyse is amazing, 33 years of incredible wines. But there is more to what we're doing here. So then just tell people, oh yeah, just go to 2100hoffmanlane.com. Yeah. It's really cool to say, oh wow, going to different websites all over, but it is all in-house and
it's a
really neat.
Pretty cool collection. And Cider, so Ben, his last name Paradis. Is our cellar master here.
Or Parodi.
Parodi, yeah. Carodi, yeah. Anyway, the thing I love about this flight of wines is there's a lot of different voices. We get Justin Harmon's voice out of the Standard Deviation Sonoma, his Argo label. We get Ben's voice with the cider coming out of being our cellar master. We get Russell's voice in the Addicts and the Elyse wines and the Institution wines. We get Kimberly Hatcher's voice in the Pinot Noir. So watching, instead of coming and seeing like one consultant making all these different projects, we become more of this like collection, like free roaming house where you get to see a lot of it under one roof.
Yeah. And it is neat to see Russell, Justin, Kimberly, who all worked together back in the day, and they'll go into the same vineyards together, pull fruit from the same vineyards, but they all, like you said, have their own voice. So we can have 3 Pinots from the same vineyard,
But
they will all have their own unique
So I'm working with
personalities.
these two chefs. They're at my house last night. We're banging around. You know who you are out there, Ethan and Brandon. But we decided that, when we grew up as kids, the Carnival would come to town. You got the lights, you got the rides, you would eat that funnel cake and then no eye contact with the weird Carnival. Like that. Yeah, we all threw the hula hoop over the bear. Yeah, it's cool, man.
Play the game, count their teeth.
Totally. So, the idea, and I will confess that was after the first bottle of tequila was gone. The idea was we want to do the Napa Foodie Carnival. We want to show up in a community with all the food trucks, and all of a sudden, in a town that you might not see diversity in, we show up with 10 of the most unique flavors, unique chefs. We've got the wines and the beverages to pair. We're there for 3 days, and we put our vagabond, collection Carnival on the road and head on to the next village. And people are like, what just happened to us here, man? So this is our whole new idea is we want to take the food carnival on the road.
Oh, I like that idea.
Coming to a city near you.
So this is, I guess we should talk about this because I'm going to finish it before I even say anything about it.
So thirst quenching.
So started by Ben and a couple buddies.
Keith, what's up out there if you're
our
watching?
cellar master. So what he does, he takes apples, makes a cider, and then has Chardonnay fermented dry, and then blends the two together, and then we'll get to the Pinot Noir hard cider.
And that was the part to make it Napa, right? In Sonoma, it was like we're going to take the wine industry and still make the cider business, and especially the apple crop in Sonoma. The Gravestine culture over there is pretty immense on the Russian River.
Yep. And this is really good Chardonnay and really good Pinot going into these. It's
absolutely
awesome stuff.
And I'm not normally cider. I think people immediately associate it with sugar. These are bone dry.
These are bone
really
dry.
Crisp, delicious. Our first attempt when I took them was to make cocktails. So I made a cider Rita recipe out of the Chardonnay. And then I took the Pinot Noir and made a Napa Valley apple pie recipe with the tuaca and the cider and a little bit of cinnamon schnapps and everything else. So it turned out really good. So sometimes I look at cider as a standalone beverage, and sometimes I like to, as a starting point, like anybody can do gin and tonic. Try using something different as the bubbly element in those cocktails, and you'd be amazed what you can discover sometimes.
What's fun is before Ben even started working here, or maybe he had just started, I didn't know that he had this cider, but I was already drinking this downtown Napa. So they had it on tap at Bilko's, at Palisades.
Brett and the boys at Bilko's.
It's by the bottle at a bunch of restaurants. They sell it at Backroom Wines. I go in there to buy wine sometimes.
They
And
get that
boom,
other bartender,
right there,
Jason
right
Court, looks like he's an extra from Godspell, man. Yeah, that's
Cheers
right. I'm
to
talking
him.
to you right now, Court. That's
Cheers
right,
to
man.
Court and some good scores on his new label.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty awesome.
What is it called? Hop, skip, and go naked? What is it called, this label, man?
I don't know.
Love
He'll
them
tell
and
you.
abandon them? I don't know. There's something clever like that, I thought, man,
Okay, so
We're just kidding.
we started with the Chardonnay cider. Just moved on to the Pinot Noir cider.
The crazy thing is,
both.
when you smell it, it smells like Pinot, but then there's a little bit of an apple skin that happens right at the end there. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and like Christopher said, not sweet at all. Really refreshing, cool effervescence, not over the top.
The
Just a really
carbonation
balanced.
is really delicious, though. I mean, it is, like, I'm refreshed by this.
Yeah, I get it even more.
I don't even know. What's the alcohol in these things?
6.73.
Nice.
6.35.
Nice.
Nailed it.
You in the back.
How would you compare the ciders to a sparkling wine?
The biggest difference is the sparkling wine is going to be 100% driven by grape. So your flavor path there can sometimes be driven more by the carbonation and the way they disgorge. So it's either yeasty or biscuity, but it's really the singular varietal and the carbonation that drives the flavor. By blending the apple and the wine together in a carbonated state, you're getting a whole different collection of fruit flavors into a really satisfying sparkling beverage. And especially if sometimes you have friends that want to enjoy with you, but they are not as into the effects of alcohol, especially carbonating it. Things like sparkling ciders can be socially delicious. They're fun to play with from a food element. The Pinot Noir, to me, is a great counterbalance to super spicy food. I love this Pinot Noir cider with hotter and hotter foods. So the biggest difference for me is I think you get a little bit more fruit-driven flavor from the ciders instead of just kind of the biscuity, bone dry, singular varietals of sparkling wine.
Yeah, and I'd say with the effervescence or the carbonation, bubbles are much tinier, which I enjoy.
No greater thing than carbonating alcohol gets to the bloodstream faster.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Skip the
when
middleman.
Speed is of the essence. Napa Valley Cider.
I think you might use that one.
But yeah, it does show up in
delicious.
tap handles, places like the Yountville Golf Course and at Bilko's, and so we can still play the tap handle game as well as putting it in bottles. We just now kind of breathe a little breath of fresh air into the ciders, and I think this is going to be fun for us to play with a little bit.
Very much so.
Rare that we'll have them here at the winery. This is somewhat of an online. We'll play with them in the summertime a little bit, but they're going at the rate that we can rebottle them a couple of times during the year.
Yeah. And sold by the case.
Yes.
Is that 12? 24?
Convenient 12-bottle carrying case.
Nice.
They're
So yeah, we can ship them all over the place.
$10 a bottle, $100 a case for 12 500 mLs of good cider.
Can you do a mixed case? 6 of each? Sweet. It's a good way to start
Well,
off.
6 and 7, one for the road. Don't take them. Not that we encourage that, but we do understand it.
All right. Another, probably one of the most popular wines that we make here from a staff's point of view. Because when you're going to be drinking all day, you start light and you start white.
And what did Frank Sinatra teach us? You can't drink all day unless you start in the morning, my friend.
Whoa! That's yours.
God,
Coming in hot.
the third one this week, folks. Man, like I am just on a both with China Shops path. I'm gonna drink it this way.
There you go.
Man that doesn't know his own strength.
Stiff upper lip. Watch out for that one.
Oh,
So this is really cool.
man, has this evolved?
Sauvignon Blanc with a unique twist because it's the clone is coming from northern Italy, a Friulian clone.
See, he
Say
got that out.
10
Look
times
at you,
fast. I had
man.
to slow it down for that one. But a lot more aromatics going on with this clone of Sauvignon Blanc. So you get a lot more tropical nature, melon, passion fruit, little white peach, in addition to the citrus and maybe a little grassy grapefruit.
But it's like that melon, like the first time the Italians actually take the melon and the prosciutto and just lay it on the barbecue for just like 1 minute, just to activate the fats in the prosciutto and you get that crispy. There's a little smoke into the melon that's in here. This is such a fun wine.
Did we have a question in the back here?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if somebody comes for a Elyse tasting, do they get to try these other brands?
Yes.
Good question. All depends. We like to.
First, you must go through the confidence course. Everybody kind of panics when you get to the flaming hoop thing, and then if you can get through that, then yes, it's all ready to go.
It only
for
took
you,
Bo
man.
like 4 times to get through. But now he has access to the Sauvignon Blanc.
If you come and see us, the first thing that you're going to notice that makes us different about other wineries is that it's not a deluge of information in terms of tasting notes and here's our flight today. The thing that really sets us apart is the empathetic wine tasting kind of version, which is tell us who you are, what kind of wine drinker you are, what kind of mission you're on. Let us know where your true passions lie. Earlier today I did a tasting, and the gentleman preferred bigger cabs and Syrahs, and his gal really loved the Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay path, and Pinot. We did dual tasting side by side for this couple at the same time. It's so important for you to walk in the door and tell us where your passions lie and let us guide our portfolio, sort of towards. And we're going to throw a challenge your way. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to choose your entire adventure, but it gives us a direction to start the conversation because there's nothing worse than pouring Sauvignon Blanc for a Cabernet guy.
Totally.
He's like, you're wasting my time and thank you very much, but I'm just going to, pour it and glaze over. And so you just kind of let us know the little chit chat when you first arrive here at Elyse. The staff gives you a little Q&A. And I think the best part is the more honest you are, the better your flight is.
Yeah, it reminds me of being in restaurants when you go up to a table. Oh, I don't know, what should we drink? Like, whoa, wait, what do you like to drink? What do you normally drink? And we get to have that conversation, as Christopher was saying.
Let's try
this again.
My favorite thing about being a som was when people would tell me exactly what they like, exactly what their favorites were, and they would pick something off the list and bring it to the table. And they'd be like, this is fantastic. How did you know we would like this?
Yeah.
Because you told me. I was just smart enough to listen. And I would honestly say it can sound a bit like a cliche, But I think the word listen is a word that most wineries really need to challenge themselves to understand more fully. You have to listen to what your enthusiast likes. You have to listen to what people tell you, and stop bludgeoning so many people with information, and let the stand behind your wine.
Yeah.
Okay, gently. Okay, very
Right,
good. Okay.
Still came in hot.
I pour heavy. I
That
drive
kind of
fast.
day. Yeah, really cool wine to drink by itself or to pair with food. Lighter dishes, fish dishes, just crush it. But a lot of this gets consumed here on property.
Okay, for those of you, when I say the word Chardonnay, you stop listening. Start listening right now. Okay. These are Chardonnays that cross over two very hedonistic lines. If you're a Chardonnay lover, you will beat a path to my door, because this is the greatest collection of Chardonnays currently being made. If you're a red wine drinker that does not drink white wine, come and try the experiment. We make such a powerhouse, full-bodied Chardonnay. And I'm talking about just the simplicity of butter and oak. I'm talking about intensity of sight, intensity of winemaking. These wines, start to finish, will change your life.
And this is really exciting. We tasted this before bottling and just after bottling. Now we're, 2 weeks after bottling?
It's about as long as I like to age my wine.
These are the 19 Attic Chards. We're doing the Sonoma Coast Chardonnay. But we also have 3 other Chardonnays, 2 single vineyards, and then one that's kind of a super blend of those 2 single vineyards. Really neat to have 4 very expressive,
pure
amazing.
vineyard, and then
Puddington. Nice, you got that out.
And then the AK, which is just absolutely all-knowing.
Yeah.
AK, yeah.
Yeah, put that up against your Auteurs, your Consgard, your Auberts.
Yeah, John,
these.
Consgard wishes the judge was as good as this. Ah! That's just to get John to call me and yell at me later. Yeah. I taught you everything you know, kid. Show some respect. Chardonnay is a tough one. I think when you walk into a wine shop, there are a couple of varietals, Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay, in my opinion, being the 3, where you just get hit with the wall, man. Like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to pick. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to regret it, but I'm going to say it out loud. If you really want truly delicious Chardonnay, start at $30 and above. There it is. It's out there. I said it. There is drinkable, respectable Chardonnay below that price point. My challenge to you, the viewers, is find me your absolute hands-down favorite under $30, and we'll play with it. We're not opposed to seeing if there's some surprises out there. I'm not saying this like it's a rich man's beverage. What I'm saying is when you get to $30 and above, it typically means you're buying from a certain style of vineyard, smaller production, you're employing a little bit more new oak, you're making a bigger structured wine. I'm a red wine drinker, so Chardonnay for me has to have a big scaffold to it for it to make sense.
Yeah.
So there it is. That's my disclaimer for the day. Yell at me if you must. Comments, I'm sure, will roll.
And Russell's been making the Addicts brand since 2011, and their first vintage of Chardonnay came a little after that.
No, 2011. Right? It was it.
Oh, it was?
We were full tilt boogie, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had the, in those days we called it the walk up the Russian River. So it was Sebastopol, Roued, and Ritchie. So it was below the fog, on the fog, above the fog. And then we would take all 3 of those and combine them into our favorites to make a big badass, full tilt blend. So you've just got to get here. You got to try these 19 Chardonnays. This is, in my opinion, our 18 Chard from Addicts was absolutely delicious. But now we're able to get enough fruit from Ritchie to do a single vineyard pure Ritchie, and we're psyched. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How do the Addicts and Elyse Chards match up?
So you want to jump on that one?
Sure.
I'll just sit here and look awesome.
I would say there's more weight to the Attic Chardonnays. It's 100% new French oak. Is that correct?
We're showing them more weight.
So I would say the Attic's is just more, whereas the Elyse is a little more reserved. Picked just a touch earlier. 50 to 70% new French oak. So just a little scaled back. So for people that don't like, that straight out say, I don't like oaky buttery, the Elyse Chardonnay would be some place I'd start and then see where they go from there. These Attic Chardonnays, even for people that don't like oaky buttery, it surprises the hell out of them because Russell's harmonious kind of balance of texture and flavor, it's somewhat unmatched for me with Chardonnay because I'm not a big, the Rombauer style Chardonnays, but his texture, his
Kerner,
creaminess.
man. He did more for Chardonnay drinking, man.
The most, sold out. Those are the two words that
sold out, man. The two greatest
kind of pair
words
with
in the Chardonnay
Rombauer
world, man. What score did your Chardonnay get? He's like, sold out.
Well, it's also the wine. That's the white wine that got me into wine, really. Definitely got me into Chardonnay.
I'm sure.
A lot of numbers.
The most successful date beverage ever created.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get the name Cougar Juice for no reason. No, Chardonnay to me, like everybody in Napa wants to talk about big cabs and big cabs. I'm a Chardonnay drinker. I'll say it out loud. I love good Chardonnay, and Addicts for me has been an amazing collection of Chardonnays. And the diversity is coming back around. So the 2019 gave us 4 distinctly different Chardonnays. Mm-hmm. Then we've got the Standard Deviation Chardonnay. We've got the Morgado Chardonnay. We've got the Elyse Chardonnay. When you come to see us and you are a Chardonnay fan, say it out loud and say it proud because I can put you through a 7 Chardonnay flight now. And all of them are distinctly different. Mm-hmm. The Elyse for me has always been a very sound, lower oaked, refreshing style of Chardonnay that ages well. We find the Elyse Chardonnays on year 5 to be its real rock star point. The Addict style of Chardonnay for impatient guys like me, we're starting to drink them months after bottling, and they're gorgeous. They come right out of the gates ready to show off. But I love both styles. The Addicts for me, especially the Sonoma Coast, has always been my, anytime we're pairing with scallops, that I can really put in the saute pan and add some garlic and some weight to that dish. I can't do the flaky fish as much, but if I can put some sea bass or halibut or something with some oil and some backbone to it that I can put in the oven and put some bigger flavors to. The Addict Chardonnays can stand up to pork porterhouse.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say bacon products with the creamy texture and the crazy good acidity to balance that weight, because there is weight here and creaminess, but it is balanced by searing. I would say
the number one comment we get is, I'm not a Chardonnay drinker, but I like that one, So we do a lot of experiments. Let's say you're a whiskey drinker and not necessarily a wine drinker, and you come and tell us that. When we do our chit-chat, as you sit down, like, what kind of wine do you drink? You're like, none, and then the next question is, what's your favorite whiskey? And you tell me 4 Roses, and we're like, I want to try an experiment with you. We're not going to pour you a red wine. I'm going to pour you a Chardonnay, and you're going to look at me going, I don't hate this. Why don't I hate this? Because you love oak. That is what whiskey represents, is oak and vanilla and caramel and toffee. Mm-hmm. And so the Chardonnays are a little more transparent, and some of those flavors from the oak come through in the finished wine. Most of you big whiskey guys, it's not a problem to come and drink big Chardonnays with us. Yeah. It works.
And you can also kind of do it like a whiskey tasting. How in Scotch, they'll start you off with it neat, and then, just add this touch of water, and then add the ice cube. You can start off with, the Chardonnay really cold, have a separate bottle that is room temperature, and...
dreaming of a piece of property where I can take my whiskey down in just a little branch water. Just give me just a little touch of the breakdown on the way in, I have a dream.
The babbling brook, chilling down the whiskey.
Oh, man. We're going to have to do a whole Chardonnay show, man. We did one last year for Elyse, but it was all the whole vertical of Elyse Chards.
We can even start it with Chardonnay cider.
I agree. No, I think we should, yeah.
This is fun. This is tough for me even to wrap my head around.
So next week's show, we should start kind of shaping now. We haven't really thought about next week's show.
I haven't heard any talk.
We did the Elyse Wine Club. This is introducing the whole diversity of 2100 Hoffman Lane. Next week, we have a couple of potentials. I'll reach out and see maybe if Chef David from Brasswood. We were thinking about doing our first off-site show where we go there and he makes the fresh mozzarella. With
if he could teach everybody that.
So that's the idea so far, to do a show up at Brasswood maybe next week. The other one was Jude Wilmuth at Cook. We were talking about doing his gorgonzola gnocchi with one of our wines and doing that as a show. So anyway, maybe Barbara Alexander from Howell Mountain. She's doing this incredible meal pickup service from International Dishes. Last night we did France, and it's just so much fun to see her food arrive. And so my 2 local chefs came, and they were like, how does she do it? Like all these containers, and then you log on and do the video of how to prepare. And my daughters were so psyched because we actually did the little flambe on the beef last night. And so showing them how to saute and just turn the pan so the gas flame catches the brandy. And like, they just thought it was the coolest thing ever, man, you know?
Who doesn't like
so anyway,
fire
so we're tinkering with that for next week's show. So
yeah, eventually we got to do use Feast It Forward studio.
God,
they have a cool setup. If you guys are ever wandering around downtown with time to kill, or you want to stay downtown, they've got these individual globes set up for tasters. Everybody has their own little globe. They've probably got 20 different outdoor spots for
you have
individual
a guy that would
groups.
literally dance on the sidewalk and make you come in and taste wine. You remember those years?
That was me. That was me. Can't believe I just admitted to that. Yeah, another great spot. All right, so what do we have now?
Oh, man. Kimberly Hatcher, the absolute hardest working one-woman show. Kimberly was our assistant winemaker back in the day. She emerged with her own style. She buys fruit from similar locations to us, but different vineyards. She has got... It's like having the yin and yang in a vineyard. She has this really elegant balance point that she seeks out in a vineyard, whereas the rest of us knuckleheads are looking for the power out of that vineyard. So her wines next to ours are such a fascinating study of the balance point, you know, against the power. And yet her wines are exceptionally powerful, but her ability to create velvet and balance in those wines is remarkable. This is her 2017 Pinot. This is Santa Rita Hills. Her block is just on the backside of the knoll from the Mount Carmel vineyard for it'll come to me, the Brewer Clifton Chardonnay, Mount Carmel Chardonnay. It's an amazing site. I think that the Santa Barbara sensibilities are somewhat not used to having their eyes burned by the sun when we arrive. We come in hot, heavy, and loud, and I think they're really humble farmers down there. So sometimes getting us access to the vineyards, like, have you worked with those guys before? Like, they're just different.
They actually wait till maybe 2 to start drinking.
Our favorite call from Santa Barbara is like, well, everybody else is picked. Did you forget about us?
It's really neat for me to work with the Morgado Pinot, the Addicts Pinot, because of their presence in Santa Barbara. We don't have that a lot up here. So when you're tasting through Napa wineries, there are good places that make Pinots, but usually the fruit's coming from Sonoma. And we've got exceptional Pinots from Sonoma, Standard Deviation, and the Addicts as well. But to throw in another one and be able to do a side-by-side so you really get that differentiation between climates, Sonoma Coast and
I'm going to get yelled
Santa
at by
Barbara.
everybody, but other than Saintsbury, the old famous gate, the Mondave Reserve program, El Molino, I can't think of many Napa Pinots that I think survived the test of the heat and everything else.
Ancien.
Thank you for Ancien. God, I love you guys. What a great collection of
in
Pinots.
Coombsville. So that would be the one.
You know, they're another great example of a winery where most of what gets released is not the magic happening at that winery. There's a whole collection of small production Pinots I never knew existed by them.
Did you know one year he actually brought fruit from Burgundy just to say he's made a Burgundy Pinot?
Nice.
Yeah. Had the grapes shipped over, flown over. Yeah, he's a talented guy.
That was, no, it's not going to come to me.
Yeah.
The Fishers. Kate, you're going to hate me for forgetting your name. The daughter. Oh my God, call me and remind me. You're going to kill me. Anyway, they had a program called Unity for a while.
Okay.
And it was Burgundy fruit. So California Chardonnay and white Burgundy blended together.
Oh, wow.
Pinot from Burgundy with Pinot blended together. Courtney. God. Courtney Fisher.
Courtney. Cheers.
Sorry. It's a lot of bottles ago, man. Anyway, the whole idea is embracing the fact that you can make wine as yourself in a location, and it's your wine drinker. Whitney Fisher. Whitney, please, when you call the house later, you're allowed to yell at me. We've only known each other for 20 years. But they're embracing of, and Opus One is probably the greatest example of this, is rather than competing California against France, he decided to combine the two. And so a lot of these concepts have been driven by the fact that, yes, you can be a great French wine drinker, but don't forget there's other wine in the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes easy to get myopic in our business where, like, I drink this wine because that's the greatest in the world.
Yeah.
It's okay to venture beyond those realms.
Well, it's neat to see people that are at the top of their games in their area and respect each other so much that they want to partner with each other because they love what each other, does.
Most of our Europeans that come to business, so their first words, they taste our wines, they're like, whoa! You like them strong, huh? Yeah, you guys make big styles of these wines, man.
To finish with this, as Christopher started off, hardest working person in the wine biz. She's full-time firefighter, San Francisco Fire Department, works as much overtime as she can, 9 months a year, so she can take her month off in October all at once, no days off earlier in the year, or extra days off, and then is basically here during harvest, not only doing her wines, but helping us on the crush pad. She's stomping grapes. She's just doing whatever
we need to
it
do
takes
a blend.
all the time.
That's what I already decided. We need to do a blend for Kimberly this year. We'll call it the Fireman's Carry.
Ooh,
It'll be a picture of me on her shoulders, right? And Kimberly like walking me through the vineyard, the Fireman's Carry.
She would do squats.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
We've got a comment, not a question. It says, "Hello guys, you guys are so awesome."
Is that my wife?
No.
So they haven't actually, they just tuned in, right? Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Our egos needed that. I'm feeling a little
So I
dry
want to do
today.
a version of the show, though. Have anybody been watching what is it called, the Hot Shots? Have you been, the Hot Ones?
The wing challenge.
Oh my God!
yeah.
I so want to do this. Like, to watch some of these people like keep their composure while they're hitting, just their faces melting off, man.
Like, it's normal, to see us, I think they're drunk.
Yeah.
Because we're drinking. But you see these people that I don't think that they've had anything to drink, but they're eating wings, and it's a challenge of 10 wings. It gets increasingly hotter, while this guy who's also eating them with you asks them questions.
I like his interview style,
really
too.
Good.
It's good stuff. Man.
But by like 6, 7, people visibly start to get drunk. Kevin Hart looked wasted.
Oh, man. Everybody gets to this one sauce called the bomb, and it's like, I can handle everything up to there, and then they eat it, and they're like, I can't feel my face!
I'm sweating! Gordon Ramsay, Kevin Hart, those are good ones. Gordon Ramsay had to take a break and go to the bathroom, then he talked about why didn't you tell me? I got it on my hands, I just touched down there. There's all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's a fun watch. All right, we're moving to...
Zinfandel. What? Does
right.
anybody drink Zin anymore? Log on, tell us. Who's our Zin fans out there?
Is Chris Morrisoli's mom watching?
Right. Look, the great thing about Zinfandel is when you're talking about California, and especially Napa Valley, if you're looking for value to quality, there is no grape currently in business right now that can satisfy price to quality better than Zinfandel. There just doesn't exist. These are the most satisfying red wines. Our style of winemaking over the years has evolved to understand Zinfandel and its need of oak, and it really is still to this day. Here we are at Elyse. We have not raised the price on these things. You're looking at a $45 bottle of Napa Valley Powerhouse Red. That being said, as times go by, the land is getting more and more pressure to perform at the price point of Cabernet. So you're going to unfortunately see Napa Valley Zinfandel pricing creep up ever so slightly. And that's just unfortunately, business creeps in every once in a while to our game.
Well, it's difficult when this vineyard lies right next to the J.J. Cohn vineyard, which is Scarecrow. And so we've got a $45 bottle of Zinfandel, and they've got a $600,
Teach vineyard with
$650.
Cardinal, and then you've got the estate vineyard at Inglenook, Niebaum, Coppola, and his whole operation right next door. It's right there, man. You're right in the heart.
Sandwiched between all of it.
So this to me, we're at, what are we, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
This to me could be the greatest buy right now in Zinfandel in California, hands down.
I agree. So I didn't think we talked about it last week, or did our Zin tasting happen after our show? Whatever it was, last week we tasted our comrades in
I think
California.
I think it was because it was our wine club release last week, so we showed what you're going to get.
Yeah, and then I think earlier that day and the same day we had the Zin tasting, which was
that's right.
There was that packed same powerhouse drinking day for sure. But we went through, Martinelli's, Turley's, Sandlands, all these epic, awesome Zinfandel producers, Bedrock, and then had ours, and it sounds weird that I was so surprised
nice guy. I'm like,
that
a lot of trash.
that our wines were so damn good. I'm like, I guess it's that house palate. It's like, okay, yeah, they're great value, all that stuff, and then you taste them, it's like, whoa, we're doing a damn good job with
stealing Henry Rollins' act from Black Flag, where he's like, I hate every beautiful wine I didn't make. I hate that I love this wine. Zin's a perfect wine for a guy like that, man.
He plays such a good villain.
Man, just the thing is we love about certain people is just zero filter, not afraid. I don't care what the press says. I don't care what I am just myself, unfiltered, and I think it's more important to gravitate towards what you believe in. And I really say this with an intention in that I love and respect all of the people. I think one of the hardest jobs out there in our business is being a reviewer or a wine critic. I think it's a really, really tough job. It looks like fun on paper, but
do it for 1 week.
Your palate being taken seriously, the consistency of what you taste, the reliability of people buying the wine and agreeing with what your notes were. There's a million bear traps involved in being a wine reviewer. And I think more and more their job has gotten even more complicated because I think the shared information of our new information age has made your opinion out there on Instagram, on Facebook, as powerful as any reviewer ever in the history. And so it's sometimes important for some wine drinkers out there to start engaging in some of those other platforms and realizing that your voice has a really loud voice for us wineries, man. Like, we listen,
Yeah, you've got your cellar trackers, your Vivinos, all these things where, you just want to take that collection of data if you care, or you just find out what you like to drink and then drink more of it.
Well, the one episode I haven't watched on this Hot Ones thing, though, was Gary Vaynerchuk does it.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, Mr. Wine Guy, I was like, I didn't see him get, I would be fascinated to see him survive.
My buddy, Brian Cozy, makes the wine for the well, I guess he sold it. Vaynerchuk had his Empathy wines, right?
There you go.
I think he sold it.
Empathy. What a great name.
I like how empathetic. Earlier you were talking about how we have an empathetic tasting, and I'm like, well, after we're too drunk, then it just becomes pathetic.
Well, as you arrive, I'm like, I too have been thirsty.
Yeah, right.
What kind of beverage?
It was 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, man. Well, Clarence Gatemouth Brown, the great bluesman, said it best. It's like, I ain't drunk, baby. I'm just drinking.
So you guys have heard us talk forever. Probably 70% of these shows we're talking about the Morrisoli Vineyard, but amazing vineyard in Rutherford, the cornerstone of Elyse Winery. First wine they ever made back in '87. So it's cherished by all here and cherished by people everywhere in the country because constantly delivers in and cab.
As much as Rockpile, in my opinion, is the vineyard to work with in Sonoma, I believe our Morrisoli Zinfandel vineyard, especially that little Ziegler block bottling that we did, I think we're the active beat right now. I think our Zinfandels have hit a certain level where we want to be more like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid to put the challenge out there. Mm-hmm. If you think there's a better wine than the 18 Morrisoli Zinfandel, you chime in and you let us know what it is. We will go, we will seek it out, we will drink it, we'll come back and we'll mock you heavily on our next show.
Or maybe come on the show with us.
Or maybe be like, oh my God, you're so right.
We'll mock you in person.
Yeah, totally. Don't be afraid.
That's delicious.
I really like that one. Well, Zinfandel for me as well is, there's a different kind of pride in Zinfandel for me, which is, Zin and Petite Syrah are just, they're ours. There's great Cabernets you can compare yourself to globally. There's great Pinots, there's great Chards, there's great Sauv Blancs, there's great Rieslings, but Zin and Petite Syrah are ours, man. And so there's just something I take differently about those varietals, and maybe a different pride in them. I don't have to worry about an international style. This is what we made this year, And so I think there's something about putting a foot forward out there in the wine drinking world. And again, price to quality. God, even some of the best Zins. If you're charging over $100 for your Zin, look me in the eye right now. You know, you better super blow my doors off, man. You know, Zin is supposed to be us hardworking guys varietal, man. You know.
Well, and especially in Napa, which I mean, value is a somewhat awkward word with the land being so expensive,
Right.
the grapes being so expensive. So to keep that amazing value.
Well, it's funny how they've used the word value as almost an insult.
Right?
You make a value wine?
It doesn't.
you're one of
It's no
those.
good.
No, man, I just made a good wine at a fair price, you know?
Yeah, I almost think I'd love to see critics just blind taste everything, not know what it is, not know prices, because I feel like at $45, $35, you're never going to get more than a 90.
This is just for Chris Carpenter. He says the longer the show goes on, the lower and lower to the bar I get, man. Look at this, man, you know? That's all for you, Carpy.
I have had plenty of leaning days.
Yeah, Chris Carpenter, by the way. We had a beautiful dinner the other night, but I got this 17 Tench right now, Cabernet from Oakville. The challenge has been set forth. I want you to come on and do a show with us, Carpenter, and bring your 2017s that you think can stand shoulder to shoulder with my Tench Cabernet from Oakville. There it is. I said it. So
like
when
that
you
challenge.
don't show up, we'll just know.
I like that challenge.
Yeah, just saying, man. So get your boys together, bring your best efforts. If you want to bring Marbeau with you, you know, man, I haven't seen him in forever. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So we share a vineyard in Tejan. So we give each other a hard time constantly. He's one of the most exceptional winemakers in California. But he hasn't ventured out of perfect mountaintop Cabernet. So yeah.
And as humble as they come.
Yeah. Well, if you met him, humble's easy for him. Yeah.
So now we're venturing on to the attics.
Yes.
This is in what I consider the highest rent district of Napa Valley, and that
Absolutely.
is Eastern Oakville,
Yes.
right at that edge, just west of Silverado Trail, Screaming Eagle, Tench, Gargiulo, Bon St. Eden, and then you go east, you go across
Bacchus
Silverado
from
Trail,
Phelps. God,
Dollaball,
my
Alparadis
goodness.
from Peter Michael,
Did you already say
Pedregal,
St.
Rainey,
Eden from Bond,
Yeah.
Plum Jack Reserve, like one after the other.
and then it feeds up into, or which way it goes, who knows, but up into Pritchard Hill.
Yeah.
So hands down,
So
the most
somebody
expensive.
once told me a story. Now, whether this is true or not, but if you look at the soil of Pritchard Hill and you look at that little section of East Oakville, they say there's a reason they look very identical. Is that Pritchard Hill used to be almost 1,000 feet taller than it is today.
Yeah.
And Pritchard Hill, on that side of the valley, was the upthrust mountain as the Pacific Plate kept jamming into North America, if you believe in that kind of thing. And as it jammed in, Pritchard Hill at one point during a cataclysm fell over. And when it fell over, it dumped all of the top of the mountain. And you look at that part of Oakville, and it's the boulders and that rusted red-colored soil.
Yeah.
The rest of it is black river soil that
Oh, yeah.
surrounds it. But you can see this very distinctive kind of tongue of like where Pritchard Hill fell over at one point.
Totally, it
And
just
it's not an
collapsed on
accident why I
itself.
think that profile is very similar up and top, up to the top of the hill to the bottom of that part of Oakville, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this when I found it out, but for any geeks that really want to see it, just go to Google Earth, type in Tench Vineyards, or type in Screaming Eagle, type in Gargiulo, any of those, and look at it, and you do the aerial, and there is a line. It is red east, and it is all that loamy, black gray, dark gray soil that is typical of the middle of Oakville. Really, Oakville, it's like 5 geologically different soils. West and east are kind of, I mean, you're splitting hairs because Oakville's awesome, but west and east are the
So
prime.
if we do the show, it'll be great. If we don't, it'll be great. But part of the challenge we put out there is we've all been working with one of the greatest glass manufacturers for us wine enthusiasts, which is Riedel Glass. And the question we sent to them, if they wanted to do a show with us, was, when you make a Riedel Cabernet glass, was that designed for sensible Bordeaux at 12% alcohol?
Right.
Or was that designed for Napa Valley 14 to 15% alcohol, same varietal? So to change the shape of your glass according to the intensity of the wine. So we're curious if they've created Napa Valley versions of some of the glass. So anyway, that was the challenge. We'll see if they want to come and do the show, because you never want to taste wine on camera going, no, I think I like it out of the juice jar better.
Yeah, right. feel like the Napa would be the Bordeaux style, but then end up like the tulip.
So I'll be fat. That's I'll be
Like
really
just
curious.
let kind of a little more of that high octane gas.
And I
get
love
out there.
Riedel. I keep it in my house as long as humanly possible until I stick and break it all, man. Like I'm just you saw it on the show. I break everything I touch. Hole in a china shop, man.
Need to get that Govino just tape on it.
I know, man. The stemless just looks. Every time I see a stemless glass, instead of drinking wine, I'm immediately into whiskey and tequila. You know,
I think I like the Tench. I think I need to revisit.
Oh, I think you should.
That went pretty quick.
Well, for a 17, okay, this is supposed to be taking at least another year. You got a question? You have to use the bathroom. No, you have a comment.
No,
You have a recipe you want to share.
Was your arm falling asleep?
Yeah. When was the last time the 17 Tench was a successful date wine for you?
a long time.
3 years? The vineyard walk.
You know, I've got Tench back at the house, right? Yeah. Would you like to see the rest of it?
We won't get into the teachings for your daughters, but it is classic, and I think pretty much every father should adopt it.
Please, my daughters were raised in the Napa Valley. They're like, oh, no, not vintage, cute.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Oh, Temecula? No.
Yeah, no. Good luck. Yeah, God bless.
All right, so back to this area of Oakville. Something that I've come to know of fruit, Eastern Oakville up into Pritchard Hill, is amazing concentration. The fruit gets ripe, and it is tanninly structured, but it's almost like if those tannins were molecules of size. Normal tannins would be like this, and this red dirt tannin is like pulverized down into dust because it coats your whole palate, but it is silky, velvety, and then you put that in the hands of Russell, who is already going to make a textured, silky, velvety wine. It is
the reference
amazing.
to fine grain tannins, you know, that's the thing is don't fight it, let it be dry. But the heat of all that iron and volcanic rock in that East Oakville, man, it is still so warm at night. I kid you not, if you come and see us in the summer times, once the sun sets, all the warm air literally rushes out of the valley towards Calistoga and the ocean area places. It can change 30 degrees in an hour.
Totally.
When you're driving down the Silverado Trail and the windows are open in your car and it's cold summer night air, right when you get to where Tench is in that little strip, you can feel the heat coming off of Bacchus from Joseph Phelps. You can feel the warmth coming out of these vineyards right through your car windows. That's the difference. That temperature that kind of buoys these grapes in these environments, it just lets that skin thin out at like 1 micron ever so slightly, and that's that fine grain tannin. That's what makes perfection right there.
Yeah, and however it happens, the acidity stays. It doesn't drop as quickly as other areas, so you can get the ripeness, you can get the fine grain tannins, but you still have the acidity. pH is lower on those vines.
Let's talk deeper about potential hydrogen.
Da bomb.
Oh, man. Okay. For those of you watching the show today, I want you to look deeply and closely at this label and then log on with what you see. You'll be judged harshly on the severity of what you see in the Rorschach test. The Rorschach test will be changing vintage to vintage, so you can evolve and oh, thank you. Okay, so the quick backstory is, in 2018, as we first took over the Elyse Winery, God bless Ray and Nancy and Jake, their boy, but they really did fancy themselves do-it-yourselfers. So a lot of the construction here was really unique and creative. So as we took over the winery, the back door of Elyse, as we took over, was held closed with an old eye bolt and a pair of scissors sticking through that eye bolt into the door. So as we launch this whole series of what we consider our own true personality wines from all the vineyards we work with, you will start to see on our institution wines, this pair of scissors becomes the theme. So these 3-packs, we've only got about 20 or 30 left of our inaugural release of the 3-packs of institution. And that's Herba Vineyard, that is Hui Vineyard, and that is the proprietary red that we're trying today. But the scissors are always going to be the theme that holds the box closed, which is how the back door of this winery was locked for years So anyway, we had a big laugh one night about how and we're talking about, these are your teacher's scissors. These are the old black handled, like you knew exactly where these were in the drawer of your teacher's desk. And so we created 2 single vineyard Cabernets, and then in typical fashion of our style, we then took the Cabernets and blended them and made our proprietary red. So some years this is going to be Franc and Merlot, some years it'll be Merlot. Petit Verdot will make an appearance at some point out of the Herba vineyard, I'm sure. So every year the proprietary red will be an adventure. But I need you to log on and tell me what you see in the Rorschach test. Oh, I love that sound. We're still working on when you open your box of institution, we need some kind of theme music.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Skulls. Oh.
I voted for Jurassic 5. Everybody's like, it's long enough. It's like wearing polo as a cologne. It's okay to go back now. Nobody knows.
Jurassic 5, like the rap group?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were the only one to tell me this. Was Q-Tip part of Jurassic 5? Was he part of Tribe Called Quest? Or
Tribe.
It was Tribe.
Definitely Tribe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was Fife and Tip.
Thank you. You imagine my relief.
I only know because of that one song. You on point?
Well, I have to bring
once again, Fife.
Yeah, I have to bring up Jurassic 5 because that's where the phrase about verbal artillery came from.
Charlie Tuna was in there. That's about all I know.
So the funny thing is, I brought back some old music at a party the other night, and to a man and woman, when they hear this music, they're like, "What did you just play us?" And I tell them it's Jurassic 5, and then I tell them it's 20 years old.
Right?
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome. There's 5 of them. Imagine that.
I imagine that.
But they just they support each other so well, come in at all the right times.
They also rapped happy. They weren't completely a negative rap.
Oh,
they
not at all. No, they
like,
weren't talking about shooting and killing.
Yeah, they were like that reggae happy rap, man. You know,
Yeah.
Living well is the best revenge.
So, did you already tell them what's
the blend?
Yeah,
I did not.
Oh, cool. Do you want to?
Well, you know me. I'm like, it's 90% Cab, it's 40% Merlot, and 30% Cab Franc.
What's up with the other 50?
Anybody can stop at 100. We need a 200% blend here.
Where's the Dave Coulier from Full House cut?
Nice. I'll sell you the whole chair, but you're just going to need the edge.
That's pretty good. Well, I'm afraid of you now. Like, you're in the building and you're feeling them yourself. I just butchered a Mac Dre line. So I don't think anybody young enough actually knows.
When you look at pricing for wine, it's easy. It's easy to look at a price and go, you're idiots for charging that much money for wine. Who would pay that? And I get that. I totally do. Especially if I'm looking at like a budget and dealing with things. So we're not pricing wine to scare anybody. We're not doing it to like make ourselves this elite winery. 100% of everything we do here is based on being a wine drinker. And we understand that being a wine drinker, that's why the Morrisoli Zins, as great as they are still at $45 a bottle. You're at, what is that, $36 for a club member. That's a sensibly well-priced bottle. Look, if I'm going to make hedonism and put it in a bottle, the farmer knows their land is epic. Dr. Urban knows he's got an epic piece of property. The Hui Vineyard and 9 Sons up on top of Pritchard Hill, they know how epic their property is. But they allow us in because they know the quality of the wines and the integrity we're going to put behind it is going to still keep their name in the championship kind of level. So when I'm talking about $250 for a bottle of wine, yeah, there can be a shock. If I showed you what it costs to make this wine, it's weird, but $250 would sound like a reasonable price.
Yeah, that's how we can recoup our money, possibly.
So trust me, when we put a price point to a wine, it is very, very, very much tied to the cost of production. There's no other halo effect. If you go through the history of our wines, no matter how high a score we've ever had better than Screaming Eagle, I didn't say that, we've never changed the price of the wine, ever.
It's like a skipping record recently.
Yes.
Like the Addict's Tench, just, let me one up, y'all.
So my point is, when you look at a group of guys like us and gals, and we put a price to a wine, that's what it costs to make. That's the only price point consideration. It's not the halo effect. Mm-hmm. It's not that we made 100 cases. It's not that the scores were epic. It's completely what it costs to make the 1% rule according to the fruit and everything else. So just know that.
Yeah, and you never know. There are some times where some of the fruit from that epic vineyard that we're paying crazy amounts doesn't, in our mind, make this thing better, but it might go into, you know, a little 1%, 2%, 3% into an Addicts Napa Valley cab or a Tejan cab, or just spice up a, you know, our Elyse Napa Valley cab at $55. So
I love that this is not afraid
the
to be
numbers
fried.
don't really work there,
I
but
love a good tannin in the wine. It's okay, man.
I don't think this is.
We should not eradicate that dry factor in a
Oh
wine,
no,
you know?
especially such a young wine. I mean, these are 18s.
If you're a vegetarian, add more olive oil to the portobello. If you're not a vegetarian, this is the little fatty piece on the end of the ribeye. I mean, it's
Yeah, olive oil is good. Avocado oil, I would imagine, would be even better because there's a lot of fat in avocado.
Oh my God, yeah. If you're strictly a seafood eater, don't be afraid of the eels and some of the bigger flavors, man. They can work wonders. Although I will tell you, we did have a lobe of seared foie gras with white truffle risotto the other night, and oh my God, it was really good.
Yeah.
Holy crap, was it good?
You reminded me of a night out last week, and lucked out of 845 two-top on the patio at Angel, and had the black truffle risotto with the Parmesan foam.
Bettina and her crew.
Yeah.
Wow, that risotto is legit, man.
We were just talking about a couple friends and I, about the restaurants in downtown that have been there for, let's say, at least 15 years. Not a ton that are, you know.
Yeah, not a ton.
Chef Cole,
Yep.
Cole Shop House Celadon, amazing. And then the fact that he sold each of the restaurants individually to his employees so they could own their business successfully. Zuzu and Gel opened in 02. We just looked it up.
Mick, you guys rock, man.
So also, I saw Mick last night with Ben and Mindy, who anybody knows Zuzu's, knows them, at not Tap and Vine, Ace and Vine, the new card room / restaurant. We had a little friends and family try out the food and everything, and then I contributed to the casino's cause last night.
Well, you pretended to gamble and just sort of lost everything?
Yeah, like made horrible moves, and the dealer's like, really? He's like, you should just give this guy some money because he's going to give it back.
Nobody splits a 7, sir.
But kudos to there's owners, and then Mike Gallion, the owner of Napa Sport, is the food and beverage director, and the chef. Amazing. That is going to be the only place people go after 10 p.m. at night. Like,
So
hands down.
I guarantee in our following shows as well, now that we're starting to rub our eyes and get things going, we will start getting chime back. So part of the finale of this show will be us talking about, hey, congratulations to the guys at Hayes and Vine, or the guys at Cavallo Point, or the guys at the Orinda Country Club, or the guys at what is Danville.
Oh, yeah, the Find
The
in
Find and all
Danville.
this. We will start reaching out going, thank you for placing the wine, and really starting to pointing to people where to find the nectar beyond here.
Yeah, anybody in Danville, if you're in the area, check out the Find.
The Find has got a great, these are wine drinkers, not like yes, it's a business, but they're passionate wine drinkers.
The collection of wines they have
there's
is
great
ridiculous.
finds there for sure, man.
Yeah, you get Zeitgeist. He makes Anomaly.
Yeah, who can spell Paramsky? If you can spell Paramsky, there's a free bottle of wine in it for you.
I'll take that challenge. Oh, speaking of challenges, this is the guy you want to. Actually, I shouldn't. This is like he's the powder stash. If I tell everybody about the powder stash, they'll be too broke to keep betting me. But he's a man of his word, and I got a great bottle of tequila over the Chiefs Bucks game.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Not only did they not cover the spread,
I would have never guessed that.
But I also want to thank the Bradley Nelsons of the world. If you're out there, we put a challenge out there to pair the Wine Club release with a menu. And Bradley sent me the greatest menu ever if you're not a vegetarian. It's like 7 courses of meat and conquest, man. It's awesome.
B. Nels. Thanks for always chiming in, Brad.
But yes, but this is the thing is I was very serious about that is I want you to tell me what you're doing with the wines. I would love pictures of like your favorite courses. Look, we're getting back to the point where we get people around the table. Like, if there's one thing that we can do collectively, a bottle of wine around the table is one of the universals to get us all back to what we would consider a lifestyle that we've become accustomed to, man.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, even, on the rare nights when it's not a bottle of our wine, you know, and you're like, oh my God, this was almost as good as one of these. Don't be afraid to tap Elyse Winery in that to show us. I mean, you're fans of ours too. We want to know what you're drinking, even if it's not us.
All right. So I want to thank you guys for once again logging on. Like, this has been great. And every time we stop these shows, we think we've kind of like run the circuit. We still get people calling us going, are you going to do another Elyse TV show? Like, you guys are vigilant about wanting us to do this. So next week's show has not been put in concrete yet. So we'll put something together by next week. But if there is something that you're passionate about that you would like to see us play with for the next show, Rudy Cadet, and Mike McCarty and
thanks, Mike.
Kurt Brellan and I mean any of you enthusiasts out there, reach out, man. We will absolutely put a show together around that because all we're here to do is to make it fun for everyone.
And now that we're able to be back open, we have tastings going on the time. So times are and dates are scheduled to change.
Yes, layers. It could be wet. It could be sunny.
It could be Wednesday at 1. Or maybe Friday at midnight.
So thank you all once again. Hey, by the way, Wine Club shipments are going out next week. So those of you that are club members, it's on like Donkey Kong, man. You know it. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
And we'll see you guys next week.